Hello community, welcome to A Cupful with myself, Tshegetso Mwepi. Hello beautiful people, thank you so much for joining me in a new week for a new episode of A Cupful. You are officially part of this community and I hope you make yourself at home because that is exactly where you are. A Cupful's main purpose is to help young people, such as you and me, navigate the in-betweens of life and take care of our well-being, or as I like to say, tend to our cups and to keep pouring into them in the healthiest ways possible, all the while working on healing, growing, learning, and ultimately thriving. Life is constantly happening in many ways, and if this space can give you even a little bit of affirmation, knowledge, wisdom, the strength to keep going, whatever you need in your current season and that which you can apply in your future seasons, just ending up with a cup full of peace, happiness, contentment, wisdom, and lots of knowledge, this podcast's purpose would truly be fulfilled. It feels so good to be back with intention and being so well rested and just feeling like I can really do what I would like to do, what I feel like I need to do with this podcast and just with the rest of the things that I would like to do for the rest of the year. I took about 2 weeks off just to breathe a bit. The first quarter of this year was really exhausting emotionally, and I was completely depleted. I was permanently living in my head, and that was in the most unpleasant way possible. It was just very stuffy, and it felt difficult for me to move and maneuver the challenges that I was faced with. I specifically was feeling a lot of heaviness, and I just felt like I was failing, and I felt like I was stuck. I felt like my life was not moving at all in the direction that I would have hoped for at this age. And so I needed to nurse myself back to a better place just by leaving things alone for a bit. Because, sometimes you just need to leave things be and say to yourself, I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of me. So that's exactly what I did. And I'm happy to announce that my focus for the remainder of this year is to continue embracing the season I'm in and just never giving up on myself. And that's really it. There's nothing more to it. It's where I'm at right now. I don't want it to be anything else. I don't desperately rather want it to be something that it isn't, or something that I think it is, or just, anything that isn't where I need to be right now. So I've accepted it, and I'm continuing to accept that those are the things that I need to prioritize right now. And it's also just making everything else so much easier to work through and deal with. And I can appreciate how intentional I have become about it and just continue to become about it all. All I've got to say is Q2 of 2022. Let's get it. Speaking of Q2, in this week's episode, we are going to be doing a Q1 reflection and setting intentions, remaining focused, as well as working on figuring out how we are going to be putting in the necessary work for the remainder of this year. Welcome to an opportunity to keep going, learning, and taking good care of yourself. So I have a few questions for you that you can answer in your own time, that you can just ponder on a little bit. How was the first half of the year for you? Did it pan out how you had envisioned and worked towards? Do you feel like you've achieved most of your goals? Do you feel like you are in a good place mentally, physically, and emotionally? Are you prioritizing your well-being, and do you feel like there is enough room for you to do that? Most importantly, are you happy? To be honest, in the name of being honest, the first half of this year was really difficult and chaotic for me, and it really wasn't helping that I was spending the majority of it struggling to be kind to myself. A big element or component of the season I am in has been reflecting and waiting. So both of those. A combination I've never experienced or been exposed to at the same time, And it was most certainly time for it to happen, which it did. It was both unexpected, and when I eventually figured out what was going on, it was very, very difficult. So here I am sitting with having to reflect, and reflection can be very daunting. And then when you realize stuff, when you have reflected, it can be very uncomfortable and sometimes painful. And whilst I'm reflecting, I'm also having to head on face that I'm now also in my waiting season. So you can only imagine how challenging the past few months have been for me. Reflecting was challenging because here I am having to acknowledge, sit with, accept, and in some instances, rectify myself and my behavior towards many things. And in the midst of all that, I must also wait. I have had to wait for things to take their course, and I still am waiting for certain things to take their course. I have been waiting for things that I expected to get immediately. I have had to wait and refine a lot of how I was choosing to live or exist. And that was in so many different ways. What I was giving my energy to, what I was allowing into my space, the kinds of thoughts that I was cultivating, just the kinds of things that I was exposing myself to. So together they were causing so much turmoil for me. And I also have never cried as much as I did in the first quarter of this year. Oh my goodness, it was a crying train here by me. It was just so difficult to come to terms with, because as much as I have been a bit of a vulnerable person, I haven't always completely been vulnerable. Like I think there was a limit to my vulnerability in the past, and now here I am crying. I'm having one meltdown after the other, and it's not happening in the form of me like just isolating myself. I'm crying. Everything is making me sob. But also, I finally realized and learned that it's important to embrace that I am a crybaby. Like, I do cry. That is how I express the emotions that I feel, and expressing myself through crying has been a relief, and it has made me realize that showing my emotions like that is normal, and being vulnerable like that is okay. And if crying is one of my ways, then I've just got to learn to accept it. And I think it's also something I'm not ashamed to expose. Let me not say expose, I don't think that's the right word. I am not ashamed to show that side of myself to my loved ones. I have honestly always struggled with being vulnerable to that extent, especially as an older sibling, I've always made it a point to make sure that my siblings know that I'm the one that they can lean on, that I'm the support system, that I'm the eldest one, and so I'm the one that they should come to should they have any problems, problems that I would be able to help them with. But I kind of, in the process of all of that, I forgot that I'm also just a human being within this body, and I need to be present and exist for myself as well, so that I can be present and exist for everyone. And so I'm also realizing that there also just wasn't much room for me to be vulnerable in that way over the last few years. I couldn't create that room for myself as well, and it's okay. Like, that's fine. That's good that I can say that, but now there is room. And now I am creating that room for myself, and I'm crying, which is great, because I don't feel like I have knots in my throat and stones on my chest anymore. I feel a constant sense of relief because I'm learning how to properly be vulnerable. And looking back on the first part of this year, really, I'm grateful that things turned out the way they did, because it has opened many doors for me to do better by me and really just step into my reality without feeling ashamed about it, which is what is good about reflecting. It's one of the biggest advantages about reflecting. It gives you an opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate what you would like to change, what you would like to keep doing, and how far you've come which you should never ever forget, because I know that sometimes in the midst of very heavy times, we forget that we've come quite far, that we aren't where we used to be. So please don't forget to give yourself a lot of credit, because you do deserve it. Also, something else that I would like to emphasize is that even if things did not go as planned, sit down and re-strategize and decide again how you are going to handle everything moving forward. Sometimes things turn out completely differently to how we had planned for them, and not because we are being punished, but because the plans that we might have had are not the ones that we needed, or maybe just wasn't the time for it. And having this approach is definitely changing how I respond to feelings of disappointment or feeling like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, on the days when I feel inadequate or imposter syndrome is sitting on my shoulders and trying to convince me that I can't do a thing, or that because I didn't do it right the first time, it's never going to happen. I look at it from that perspective, that things move according to how they should move, that timing is a very big and important component of when things happen, how things happen, and why they happen. And so if you look at things from a time perspective, you will understand that things will happen eventually the way they should, when you are prepared, when you will be able to appreciate them enough, enjoy them properly, and just be responsible with them. So, if you haven't done it yet, give yourself some time to sit down and reflect, because it's very beneficial and it adds a lot to you as an individual. You are able to reflect, sit down with yourself and decide, this is not working, so I need to switch it up. This is working and I want to keep it, and this is how I'm going to make sure I do keep it. So do that. Go and look back on the first half of the year and just decide, once you have reflected, what needs to change and what needs to stay the same, and what you'd like to introduce. Go back to your list of goals just to see if you've achieved them. Go pull out your list of goals and go and sit with them. If you have achieved them, you're doing amazing, and keep on going. And if you haven't, for whatever reason or reasons, that's okay. You can try again in this quarter. Also, revisit your methods. It's very important. Revisit what is fueling you and what isn't, and remove that which isn't. Allow whatever is fueling you, or that which you can see fueling you even more, to have enough room. Remember that you are all in here. You are trying to create this space for you to thrive and to keep on moving. Also, you're trying different things. You know, when you revisit your methods, you can see what is working, what isn't, what's causing a strain, what's making things lighter. So go and take a look at the methods that you are using and see what needs to be improved, and see what needs to go, and see what needs to be introduced completely. Like I said, you're all in, so get in and stay in. Also, don't be afraid to change directions or leave a thing where it needs to be left. There is so much courage in giving a thing your absolute best, and there is just as much courage in understanding that the timing just isn't the right one, or the thing you want isn't necessarily what you need, or what is going to fit in your life at this point. So if you need to change, switch up, do that. Open yourself up to switching up and making the changes that you need to make, so that you can try again. Set those intentions. Decide the kind of energy you want to bring into the remainder of the year, and then work as hard as you possibly can to bring that to life for yourself. And I'm placing the onus on you as an individual to decide. Don't look at what other people are doing. Don't want to consult with other people regarding what you would like in your life, or what you are trying to have in your space. You need to decide, and you need to figure out what element in your life is working, or which elements are working and which aren't. Are you happy with the people and places that you surround yourself with? Is it working? Are they working in sync with the intentions that you have set for yourself? Are you happy with how you speak to yourself and of yourself? How focused you intend on being? Are you happy with the focus? Decide and then get to work, and don't be afraid of how uncomfortable that can get, because also in the process of deciding what you want and just changing things around and switching things up, you need to now readjust. So also show yourself some grace. Just understand that it's going to be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Also affirm yourself, love up on yourself. Those are forms of setting intentions. Tell yourself that this is something that I can do. This is something I want to do. This is something I'm going to do. Show yourself love. Be gentle on yourself. Give yourself that gentle loving. Commit to yourself and achieving the kind of peace and happiness you want in your life. And make sure that you are staying true to what you want and who you are as an individual. I read a book about creating your designer life. So it's mostly about just developing a better relationship between yourself and money, right? And the author was saying that it's important for people to understand the importance of creating a designer life, the one that suits you, the one where you intentionally wake up each and every day and fulfill the commitments and promises you have made to yourself, and the kind of life you ultimately intend on having and living in the future. So the designer life is a long-term thing. You are constantly building into it and into yourself. It's your life from your eyes. It's not your life according to a magazine. It's not your life according to a self-help book. It isn't your life according to what people say your life should be. It isn't your life according to your age. It's your life according to who you are and what you want as an individual. So focus on creating the life you want for yourself, the one that suits you. And if you need to constantly make adjustments, and if that means there are going to be detours, then there are going to be detours, and that's something you have to be accepting of. But ultimately, you know what you're working towards and you know what you want. Remain focused. This is another very important part of moving through the remainder of this year. You need to remain focused. I'm also speaking to myself this episode. This episode is dedicated to me and anyone else that might need to hear these things. I feel that it's very important that you remain focused. We need to stay focused. We must stay focused. It's so easy to lose focus, especially when plans aren't coming together as quickly as we had hoped. You lose momentum, you lose focus, and then you kind of just don't feel like you can keep going. I know that can happen very easily. It has happened to me in the last 6 months, where I really completely lost focus because it just felt like nothing was happening and nothing was coming together. In moments like that, when things look completely different to what you had hoped for, what you have worked towards, remind yourself that 1, you are continuously making progress, and that is a lot to be proud of. And 2, you may not be where you want to be, but you are most definitely well on your way. When you feel tired, also take a break. And when you feel like you have lost your footing for a bit, step back and look at things through your eyes, through your challenges, through your intentions, through your dreams, through your hopes. Step back, because sometimes we do need to step back and we do need to gain some perspective, and we do need to understand that even though things are a bit slow right now, or there's a bit of stagnancy, that doesn't mean that I've lost my footing forever. It doesn't mean that my life has stopped forever. It just means that I need to step back and remind myself that, oh my goodness, damn, I've come quite far. I have made so much progress. My life is actually not stagnant. It doesn't mean that if I'm not moving as fast as I want to, I haven't made progress, because I'm definitely not where I used to be, and that's amazing. And sometimes you just need to remind yourself that, oh my goodness, I've actually worked very hard. I'm proud of myself. I really, really am. And it feels so good to feel this way about me. So, how are we getting to the end of this year? In closing, in finality, in totality, I came up with 10 points that I feel like I'm going to need to use, that I hope you use if you find them helpful, if you can hear yourself connecting with them, or if you can see yourself implementing them. And if you also just had a bit of trouble in the first quarter of the year with making things happen or seeing things move, then I hope you use this. But also, if things are going well and you can see the progress that you're making and you feel like you are doing amazing, please do give these a listen, and perhaps you can add them onto whatever routine that you're following right now or whatever habits you have picked up on. My number one is with intention. Like I said earlier on, set your intentions, be intentional, and just don't forget why you are doing what you are doing or why you want what you want. Number two is definitely trying, constantly giving it your all, constantly doing your best. Just trying. That's enough. You are doing the best that you possibly can. You are trying to get back to a place where you can feel yourself standing, both feet on the ground, posture amazing, and you're just confident and you're moving. Number three is have hope. Hope does a lot for the spirit when things are quiet, when things are dark, when things are hard. Being hopeful will carry you through the uncertainty, through the difficulties. Having hope means you haven't let go and you are intentional about trying again. Number four is with courage. Courage also has such an incredible power. It can help you get up and dust yourself off. It lets you step in rooms that might have been scary before. It says you keep going. It says your dreams are worth it. It is a driving force. And when you let courage sit with you in your heart, when you lead with it, when you move with it, it can quite literally change your life. So being courageous is also another thing that you need to carry with you for the rest of this year. Don't be afraid to stand tall and to remind yourself that you are intentional, that you are trying, and that you are very, very hopeful, and that your courage is going to carry you. Number five is being honest with ourselves. Being honest about a thing not working out, being honest about needing to adjust ourselves to get to where we're looking to get to, being honest about needing to make the sacrifices that we need to, being honest about cutting out the things that are not of value to us, that are not of value to our well-being. Number six is taking responsibility and accountability. I think it's very much the same as being honest. Taking responsibility for your actions, taking accountability for what has gotten you to wherever you would have gotten to, is also going to be very helpful in, number one, avoiding making bad decisions or avoiding going down the wrong road, and number two, just knowing that you're grown and that you need to be able to say, I messed up here and I'm taking responsibility for it and I'm going to improve and I won't be making the same mistakes. So, very important. Number seven is my favorite one, remembering that it is not over until you say so. I was listening to the To My Sisters podcast, and one of the hosts was saying that until you say it's done, it's not. So despite the rerouting, the falling off, the exhaustion, the courage tank being extra low, the emotional and mental health being at a low to almost empty, it still isn't over. You haven't said it's over. The year is most definitely not over. Your dreams aren't over. So the ball is going to keep rolling because you have not said a single word about being done with something. Number 8 is embracing where you are and continuously working towards where you would like to be. So I think it's very, 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 very important to understand that everybody's in different places in their lives and we all see where we are differently. And that's why you need to look at the season that you're in right now, where you are in your life, through your own eyes, and then committing to working towards where you would like to be. And that's all there is to it. Focusing on yourself and giving yourself a chance to embrace where you're at. And just loving yourself, no matter how bad it looks. Loving yourself even when it's good. Just showing yourself that grace, that compassion, that kindness, Number 9, ask your support system for support. Please, 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 please ask the people in your life for help. In the name of being very honest again and being very vulnerable, I was struggling to ask my support system for the support that I needed because in a way I just never thought of myself as someone who needs support and who needs to be cared for, who needs people to lean on. And I think that it's very important to let yourself go there and know that the people that are around you, they want to care for you and they want you to ask them for help. So please do. Also, be open to doing things a little differently. It will take the weight of the world off your shoulders if you allow yourself to say, oh, this is how things might have to go from now on, and I'm okay with that. Then really you would be at peace with it, you'd be fine, and you'd be able to move forward. You know what I mean? So give yourself a chance to see things differently and move forward differently. A lot of things shape who we continuously become. Our failures, our growth, our hopes and dreams. The list is literally quite endless, and you are the one that gets to decide what you do with each of them. Are you going to hold on to them for dear life, especially the ones that aren't positive? Because my goodness, holding on to things and holding things over your head is the one way to take away any sense of hope or courage that you might have. You're stripping yourself of the opportunity to try again. Don't punish yourself and constantly torture yourself and not forgive yourself because a thing has happened, number 1. But number 2, the thing is, failure is going to happen, We are going to fall off. Life is going to go in a different direction. And that's something that you need to accept as a person. And then in a situation like that, in a moment like that, you need to decide how you are going to move forward with it. Also, you can't move forward with anything if you are going to keep holding it over your head. You're just going to keep living with it, and it's not worth it. It really isn't. So what we're doing here is we're not punishing ourselves. We are recuperating. We are moving forward. We are trying again. And as much as being down bad isn't the end of the world, it also is just as much not a place to get comfortable in. And don't think that by punishing yourself and just not forgiving yourself, you are helping. If anything, you are definitely standing in your own way. Ultimately, you need to sit yourself down, acknowledge that you aren't where you want to be, take accountability for the wallowing, and actively work on getting back up onto the hope train. Because when you have hope, then you have exactly what you need to get back on track. Hope does wonders. Hope will keep you going even when you feel like nothing is making sense. We really are all trying to figure this life thing out. You are 100% not alone. And please don't forget to lean on your support system. Ask for help and be open and willing to receive it. I'm so happy that I can say that now without feeling strange or without feeling like I'm lying, because it was feeling like I'm lying. I'm telling everybody else to lean on their communities, but I am not able to ask anyone for help. So I'm glad that I can be a lot more honest, and I can feel that I'm being for real when I'm saying please ask for help, because not asking for help will deplete you. You will be here, but you won't be present. You won't be there. You are going to be falling apart. Please don't give up on yourself, because you are the most constant person there will ever be in your life. You are with you every single second of every single day. You are with everybody else that you love, different times of the day and different times of the week, sometimes different times of the year. You're with you 24/7. Literally. I don't think that as human beings we are with other people 24/7. We are with ourselves 24/7, and you deserve to figure things out and get to where you are aiming to get to. And in the process, please don't forget to love yourself real hard and be gentle with yourself and be kind to yourself. And those are my final words for this episode, very, very final words for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. If this is where it's at for you, please do give A Cup Full a 5-star rating. I think on both Apple Podcast and Spotify, it is just below the description. So you can scroll down and give A Cup Full 5 stars, please. Subscribe or add it to your list of favorite podcasts and share it as far and wide as you possibly can. Please, 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 pretty please. Of course, it is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. On Instagram, it is at @A_cupful, and the DMs as well as comment sections on posts are always available for you to share your thoughts. All thoughts are welcome. All sharing of thoughts are welcome, as long as your thoughts will not cause any harm or be derogatory in any way or just be plain mean, because this is not the space for that. Honest thoughts, wholesome thoughts, real thoughts are welcome though. Thank you so much again, and have an amazing remaining first week of July. Rest when you need to, grind when you need to, and have fun when there is time to. I will catch you all in next week's episode, and don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup up.